Hi, I'm Netter, and this is Netter's Network. And today we're going to be talking about 3D printing. Now you can see my 3D printer behind me. And this video is really meant for beginners like myself and the issues you're going to come across and how to solve them. Some of the things I'm going to talk about are tools you really should have on hand because they're very helpful. And I'm going to show you some of my print attempts. Some of the things that you're going to want to have on hand are one of these cheap stainless steel brushes. You can get these at the dollar store, and you're probably going to want to get a couple of them because you will go through them. These are used for cleaning your extruder when it gets clogged, or let's say your 3D print just made a mess. This is really helpful for cleaning all the extra gook off of your extruder. You're also going to want glue sticks. You can either use the purple one so you can see where you put it, or you can use the clear. It really doesn't matter. And it doesn't seem to matter what brand you use either. I mean, this one is a cheap one from Staples, this one is Elmer's. They both work the same. Something else that you're going to want to have on hand is painter's tape. Now I prefer the 1-inch width because when I'm having to tape paper down on my printer bed, we'll get to that. It's better than using these bigger ones because with these bigger ones I find I have to cut them in half to go around the paper so I can get as close to the edge as possible. I also discovered that the blue painter tape works better than this green frog tape. This just peels right up. It doesn't hold anything. So if you're going to get painter's tape, get the blue stuff. I don't know what brand this is, but you can find blue painter tape just about anywhere. Now this one, it actually is called Painter's Mate. It's not called frog tape, but this green stuff that I had gotten from Menards does not tape very well. So maybe a better quality of the green would work, but this stuff, no. And I thought I was getting a really great deal because it's like, oh, I can get 6 of them for like $8. And I thought that was a really great deal, but it's not a great deal if it doesn't work. In addition to those basic supplies, you're also going to need filament. This filament is PLA. Your 3D printer may need a different type, but this is a Prusa, P-R-U-S-A 3D printer, and it takes the PLA. You can see that it comes on a spool like this, and this one was 2 pounds or a little over 2 pounds, and this is going to last me a little while. Something else you're going to need are files. In order to 3D print, you need to be able to tell the 3D printer what you want to print. This little SD card came with it, and it has some sample products on there so you can try it out and practice. I'm going to show you the ones that I practice with. I haven't done all of them, but I've done most of the ones that are listed on here. Something to keep in mind is that each 3D print is going to take a certain amount of time. It's not a quick process. It's not like you're using your regular printer and you hit a button and it's instantly done. Some of these can take hours. The longest one I've done so far is 4.5 hours. I was able to get it done while I was at work, and I could keep an eye on it because I work from home. And halfway through the day it was done. I was able to start a second one. So by the time I finished my work day, a little over, I had 2 prints of the item that I needed. Let me show you some things I've already made and the issues I had with them. So my very first print was a whistle. I figured that's simple. I should be able to just hit the button and go and watch it to see if there's anything I need to do. Because I've never used a 3D printer before. I can't give any advice on how to put the thing together because it was already put together for me when I got it. But I can show you how to use it. As I mentioned, one of the first things I tried to print was a whistle. This was the first attempt. What had happened was it started off fine, but then it came loose from the bed and just started moving around, which caused it to look like this. I figured, okay, well maybe the adherence wasn't working because maybe there's some dust or something on it. So I wiped it over really well, used Windex, made sure that it was all clean, it was dry, and then I tried again. Second attempt. Slightly better, but the same issue. It started doing really well and then came loose and just started going all around the bed. So it's like, okay, what am I doing wrong? So I went to the internet. What am I doing wrong? Why isn't it adhering? And I found some useful videos on the glue. Some people said that they prefer the stick glue. Other people said they like to use hairspray. And one person who said he would never use hairspray gave a really good reason for it. You spray the hairspray, it doesn't just go in one little spot, it mists out. So you're going to end up with the hairspray just not where you want it, but everywhere. And then you have to wipe everything down when you're done with it, and it's just a mess. With the glue sticks, you can put them exactly where you want them on the printing bed. So I tried the glue sticks, and this was a third attempt. It got about halfway done, and then it came off again. So I went back to the internet. Okay, used a glue stick, put on quite a bit of the glue stick, it should have stayed. Why wasn't this working? Watched another video that let me know that sometimes the extruder isn't quite low enough. It's like off by like a millimeter or so. And to try putting a piece of paper underneath on the print bed, and that would take care of the difference so that you can actually print. So my last attempt was a full-fledged whistle, complete with a little hole, and it's a real working whistle. I'm not going to blow it because it's really loud, but I was really proud of this simple thing that I did and figuring out what the issues were so that I can make this work. One of the other things I tried to make was a tree frog. It is one of the files that's on the SD card that came with the Prusa printer. And I started off okay, and then it did the same thing. It came loose and came off. And couldn't figure out what it was, and then I realized that I didn't have enough glue in the spot where I was printing. I had it kind of half and half, so you want to be careful of that. It typically will print right in the center, but there are some prints that I did where we didn't have the dimensions quite right, so it didn't print center, it printed off center. And so you need to make sure that when you're putting your glue down, you're putting it in the right area. After I figured out what I did wrong, I was able to make this adorable little tree frog. There are actually quite a few files that come with the 3D printer. This one is the company name. This was really easy to print. I think it was 20 minutes. I was also able to do the Batman symbol, and then I made one and painted it. This little guy, on the disc it said it was like Marvin. This does not look like Marvin the Martian. It's a cute little Martian, but it's not Marvin. One of the items that really impressed me, this is a 3D printed bottle opener. And you wouldn't think this would work, but this is really sturdy. It works great, and it's like, this is amazing. It's got a really nice thickness to it, and it actually works. The practical things that you can make with your 3D printer are only limited by your imagination. This was the last item that I printed. Again, it had a deceiving name. It was called Benchy, so I expected it to print a bench. I got a little boat. I'm guessing the boat's name is Benchy. But what's amazing about this little boat, it has the two little holes in the front for the anchor. It has a little box back here, I guess for if this was a real boat, that's where you put your gear. It has another little hole here so you can put a flagpole. It has a little stovepipe on top. Inside, I don't think you can really see it, but just inside here there's a little wheel. It's not one that moves, it's molded to the front, but there's a little wheel there. Just all this detail that's like, this is just amazing. I did have a little bit of trouble with this one where it got near the end. It had maybe about 10-15 minutes left to it. And what I discovered is that when an object that I'm printing is a little bit taller, it has a tendency to start pulling like this as the extruder is going around and finishing whatever it's finishing at the time. And as a result, this came loose. So what happened was I had to stop the print, put it back in position, and I actually taped it down so it wouldn't move. The end result is, yeah, I got a little messed up here on the side, but since this is just practice, I wasn't really caring. Once I finished playing around and practicing and figuring out how to use the machine, I thought it was time to print something I really wanted to print. My husband is a really big Star Wars fan, and he's trying to print different parts of a diorama for the cantina. One of the items is this bench. And you can see I was rather successful in this, but it didn't start off this way. First attempt, I didn't use enough glue, and so it just came right off. Second attempt, and in this one you can see where it was starting to kind of melt and burn the filament, and so I had to stop the print. Another fail. Third attempt. This one is actually kind of fuzzy. I don't know if you can see the texture on here. It's kind of cool, but it's still a failed attempt. This one had a what the heck moment and just went nuts. You can see where the filament came completely off of the print and started just doing its own thing over here and to the side, and I don't even know what happened. It wasn't a glue issue, but something was going on here, and I have no idea what. This was one of those times where I had to clean the extruder because all this was gooped up on top of it, and it wasn't going to print properly with all that there. This attempt was a little bit better. I love the texturing in here. You can just see all of this little detail that's inside the bench. But another fail. And for this one, it had just pulled away from the glue. So even though I used enough glue, or else I thought I did, it still pulled away. So sometimes you have some hit and misses there. Then I finally got this one. And I am so pleased with this. The detail here in the seating and in the back, I mean, this is incredible. And this is exactly what my husband was looking for his diorama. I've also made chairs, so basically half of one of these. And cantina tables. Since the first thing I want to do is load my filament, I'm going to scroll through my menu options, find Load Filament, and push the button to select it. This screen says, Auto Loading Filament is active. Just press the knob and insert filament. And as soon as I put it through the top, I could feel it grab it and pull it through. What's really kind of cool is it's going to extrude a little bit of it out so that the nozzle's not clogged, and you get some really cool designs that way. It's just so cool to watch. It's not hot after it extrudes out. It actually cools very quickly. And I think this is where a lot of the fails happen, where your filament is cooled already and your bed isn't hot enough to keep it adhered, because it's not melted enough, if that makes sense. Now that I have my filament loaded, it's time to 3D print. This SD card came with my Prusa 3D printer, and it has a whole bunch of files on here for you to play around with and practice with. I haven't printed everything that's on here. I showed you the ones I did do, and some of them can take 8 hours. I think the longest one on here is 16 hours. I don't want to spend that much time checking up on it. But I did print out the ones that didn't take as long. So I think the longest one I had was maybe an hour. So not too horrible. To load your SD card, there's a slot along the side here. Just insert in the slot. It'll say it's sorting files. And then it'll list all the files that are on there. And on here, if I go to the first one, it's the Prusa plaque that I printed. This one will be 23 minutes to print. The whistle, which I also printed, is 34 minutes to print. The Batman symbol is 23 minutes to print. The Martian, it's not Marvin, but it's a Martian, will take 52 minutes to print, and so on. So it does tell you how long each one will print. For my demonstration today, I'm going to print the Batman symbol. It's one of the ones that doesn't take as much time, so I want to use that one. You can see I'm starting off with a completely bare bed. There's no glue, there's no paper, there's no tape, there's nothing on here. Let's see how this one does. Now that I've selected it, it's going to start doing its thing. One thing to note, if you are in a screen and you've been in there too long not doing anything, it will revert back to the main info page so that you can then go back and select again. So what it's kind of doing right now is sizing up the bed. It also just laid down a thin line of the filament as a test. By the way, this is what the filament usually comes wrapped around. Now this was a small one. I typically will get them on these bigger ones. This is 2 pounds or a little over 2 pounds, and this will last me a while. And you can see now that it's doing its thing. It's actually adhering very well considering I have literally nothing on the bed to hold it on there. I have no glue, nothing. Let's see if it lasts the entire print or if it starts moving around. I can't remember now if I've mentioned, but when you are looking for filaments, always look at the reviews. I had gotten this one that I'm using now off of Amazon, and I had researched a whole bunch of filaments, looking at the reviews to see if they would actually work. And the only thing I look at is, what are the bad reviews? What's the issue with the filament? In some cases, they said that it would break and fall apart as it's trying to do the print. It would have bubbles in it. Some people said it felt wet. I don't know what that means. But it caused their print to fail because of that. Other ones said that it was wound weird, so that the one that's on top, instead of being on top, somehow it was underneath another one, so it would basically get tangled, and then it would ruin the print. So I always look at reviews for anything that I am using for myself, just to make sure that I'm getting something that's actually going to work. Let's check out our print. So far it seems to be doing pretty well, but it's early days. And as expected, you can see it just moving around the bed. It's not adhering anymore. This is a total fail. Something weird happened with my camera, so I had to stop printing. But you could see that the second attempt was also a fail. It did get a little bit further along than the first attempt, but it's still a fail. Now I'm going to try it with a sheet of paper underneath. So now I'm going to take my paper, just regular 8.5 by 11 paper, fold it in half. I'm going to lie it on the bed, and this is where your painter's tape comes in. And I'm going to just tape it to the bed. I used to try and just do the corners, but that didn't work very well. And the bed does move forwards and backwards, so if you need to move it to be able to tape, you can do that. I've made sure that all 4 sides are taped, that it's completely flat, and none of the tape is sticking up anywhere. Okay, let's try that 3D print one more time. So let's let this one go, and I'll be back in a little bit. Well, this print is an even bigger fail. It's just a goopy mess. I may need to clean the extruder, so I'm going to stop this print and try it again. I definitely need to clean the extruder. So we ended up with some of these little bits, and I can see that there's a whole bunch still stuck to the extruder. So I'm going to raise this up and I'm going to clean it. I'll get to show you how to use the brush. So I'm changing my axis. So I'm going to move axis, and this one is axis Z. So I'm just going to raise it up, and you can see here all this mess that's still stuck to it. You can raise it up pretty high. It actually will go up to 210. I don't know what that number actually represents, but it goes up to 210. So now I'm going to take my brush. Yeah, there's big goopy mess. There's a big goopy mess under here. So I'm just taking my steel brush and I'm just running it. I gotta keep this from moving. I'm just running it underneath to get the extra stuff off. And in this case, I got stuck in another spot right behind the extruder. I'm going to try and get it off without burning myself. Yeah, that bit was hot. You can see I'm just going in with the brush and scraping over where the filament has gooped up the works. Okay, it looks like I got it pretty good. So I'm going to try that print again and see if I still have an issue. So the heat bed is now heating up. It's currently at 165 degrees. It'll get up to 215 degrees. Once it gets to the maximum temperature, then this will start to do its thing. And every time you start a new print, it's going to do the same thing. It's going to lower, it's going to go all around the bed, it's going to leave that little test strip in the front, and then it's going to start to print. Just like it's doing right now. And in case you're wondering, the tape does not hinder it at all because it's very flat. It doesn't even notice it. There's the test strip. And automatically I can see that it's not adhering. Oh, wait. I'm going to give it a little bit more time. I saw it moving. Let's see if it decides to behave itself. It looks like there might be a little bit of an overlap right on the bottom, but that's a part that comes off anyway, so I'm not overly concerned. So like on this one, this was part of that bench I was trying to do. This whole bit up here will come off. You can just peel that right off. That's just the base to hold it in place. I didn't mean to rhyme there. That's just the base to hold it in place so that it has something to work off of. But then that peels right off. Yeah, it's already failing. It's all moving. It's kind of going in and out. I know it's kind of hard to see because I'm using white filament on white paper, but I can already see that it's an issue. So let me stop this. This is what I got. I'm going to actually unload and reload the filament just in case there's an issue there. The screen right now says preheating to unload. Once it's at the maximum temperature for you to remove it, it'll make that annoying sound. And then it yells at you and tells you to pull it out right away. One thing I learned is a lot of times when someone is showing you how to do something, they don't show you where they failed. They just show you the good parts. I'm showing you everything so that if you come across the same issue, you know how to handle it. When I first started 3D printing, I had this issue quite a bit where it would get the goop there, I'd have to clean it, and I'd have to clean it 3 or 4 times before it finally decided to work. So let's see if this time it works. Just going to make sure this is completely clean under here. Oh, I just saw something fall. And make sure that you're checking all the sides to make sure that there is nothing stuck there. I'm only looking on this one side because I'm on camera, but when I put my brush on the other side, this big goop ball fell off. So something I didn't see that was probably hindering it and why that wasn't working. This part that fell off, it's all a melted, kind of burnt piece of the filament. That will cause it not to work properly. Now if you notice, because I was cleaning it, I've got all this debris now on my bed. I'm going to want to wipe that off before I try to use it. If you had been using glue, you're going to get all that debris in your glue, so you're going to have to change your paper. Since I wasn't using any glue yet, I can just wipe it off. Okay, let's load that filament. Auto load, press the button, place it in, let it do its thing. You can see it moving, and then here's that little test trickle again. That was test trickle, not the other word. And again, you get this neat little thing. I'm telling it it's the correct color. And now I'm going to try printing from the SD card again. No, I didn't want that one. See, I chose the wrong one. Because I chose the wrong one, I pressed the reset button, which no, you can't see. I pressed the reset button so that I can get out of that and go back to start. Okay, now I've selected the right one, so the Batman symbol will attempt to print again. Since I made sure the nozzle was totally clear this time, let's see if it works. All of this is automatic. You don't have to touch anything. Once you select your print, just leave it alone. Here's the test strip. Okay, right from the beginning, major fail. That is nowhere near looking like a Batman symbol. Let's get rid of that. Let's raise this up and let me check that nozzle again. I'm not sure what's going on with this. The extruder is totally clean, so that tells me maybe it's just not hot enough, but let's try it again. So again, it's preheating. It's at 165, 168, 170, 176, 178, 180, and this will get up to 215 degrees. 200, 204, 207, almost there, 212, 215. And for those of you who are curious, yes, that is a piece of paper taped on my wall behind my machine. The reason for that is the black cables were rubbing against my wall and leaving a black mark. So I put paper there to stop that. Another fail. Okay, this needs to stop. Frankly, I think it's just having a day. I'm going to leave it for a little bit and come back. Okay, I've let it sit for a little bit because maybe it was just having a moment. Let's try this again. The bed is heating right now, and if I do lay my hand on it, I can feel it's hot. I mean, if I left my hand down there, it would probably burn me, but just touching it, it's not going to. Okay, here we go again. Right off the bat, I can see that it's not adhering, and this is going to be another fail. So I'm going to stop this one. So again, we got stringy Batman. Since it's not adhering, now I'm going to try the glue. Now let's see if it wants to work. Fourth time's the charm. Right away I can see that it's adhering to the paper because of the glue. It looks like it's doing pretty well. Oh yeah, the design is definitely working out on this one. I'm going to let this print and I'll be back in a little bit. We're only about 4 or 5 minutes in and already you can see how great it looks. I'm actually going to let this run for a little bit so you can see the process. It's looking really great, and it only has about 10 minutes left. So I'm going to pause right now, come back when it's got just a few minutes left on the clock, and let you see the ending. It's only got 2 minutes left, so I'm going to let it run so you can see the rest of the process. Okay, it's done. Now all I have to do is peel it up. Since I did this on paper, I expected it to rip. Now that I've taken off the extra paper, this is what the back looks like. So now what I'm going to do is peel off this bottom layer. It actually comes off pretty easy. Naturally, because I'm trying to show you how easy this is to peel off, I have a stuck corner. Doesn't matter, this is just a demonstration. This is what your finished product looks like, and you can leave it white. You can paint it, or if you want to start off with a color, you can use a filament that's a different color. Black, yellow, orange, red, blue, I mean they come in tons of different colors. And you can start off with your symbol or whatever it is you're printing in that other color. I hope you enjoyed this demonstration and you picked up a few helpful hints along the way. One thing I forgot to mention is when you are saving your file to your SD card, it has to be in G-code. At least for the Prusa that I have here, it has to be in G-code, otherwise when you put your disk in, the system's not going to recognize it and you won't be able to print. As a newbie, I'm always learning different things with the 3D printing. If I've got a larger object, I will try and tape it down as it's going along so that it's not going to pull up. When I printed these for my husband, he actually had an extra little ring that went around the perimeter, and I was able to put some painter's tape on that to keep it more secure so it wouldn't pull up when it got to the taller sections. Thank you all for watching, and if you have any questions, please put them in the comment section below. I'm happy to answer those for you. I have some more content that's coming out soon, hopefully, on my bathroom and kitchen remodel, and that's going to be a several-part series, so lots of content there. Also make sure to like and share this vid so that other newbies like me can also find this content and maybe it'll help them as well. If you're thinking that you're going to have to rewind to write down all the different things I suggested getting, don't worry, I've listed them in the description below. The brand names of the filaments I use, the type, and those helpful little tools that I mentioned at the beginning of the vid. Thank you again for watching. See you next time. Bye.